Just me so far, Mr. Michael.
Yeah, what's up, dude? You may get a one-on-one today.
Oh, maybe. How are you?
Good. I'm filling in for Andreas today. He couldn't make it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. How's your week so far?
It's been super busy. You know, getting STC set up and really optimizing everything for you guys so it's easier. You guys get results faster, everything like that. And I'm actually closing on another deal right now, so I also got that going. So it's a full week, yeah.
Nice, nice. That's good. And what's the ambition and what's the vision for this school community? Because it'd be interesting to hear.
Well, I mean, ultimately, we've got, I mean, all the coaches you guys are working with have
Hmm.
worked with or helped like set up second seven-figure offers. So it's just like the amount of knowledge here is insane. So the ultimate goal is, and what we are right now is we want to be the number one setter placement and trainer in the space. So, we want to staff teams like Tony Robbins, Dean Graciosi, um, Frank Kern, what was it? Um, and a bunch of other people.
Nice.
So,
That's interesting. It's an interesting perspective, I suppose. And even with my own sake at the moment, yeah, I would tell you the truth, Michael. I was quite happy you didn't ask me that day. And yeah, I'll tell you why. Because I see more as that as you see more potential than anything else. And by passing, I'll be like, is this just a group where you're just passing everybody? Or is this
mhm.
an actual group you see some potential in some people?
Yeah, and I mean, that's really what we want. Like, we're not here to, just pump people through. Like, we really, because if I send somebody into the space who's not ready, like
Hmm.
I'm doing a disservice to that person because they're
Absolutely.
gonna flop, right? So what I want, like every single person that comes to me, I want to be able to plug them into an offer and they have the absolute basics down. That way they can thrive, because
Absolutely.
it's
Fundamentals is key.
exactly because it's not going to be fun for anybody if you like, you come in, you work really hard at something, and then when you like finally get plugged in, and then it's just kind of like, well, now what do I do? Right?
Absolutely. Like even my own job with my own manager, he always, he's very adamant. Brian, get your fundamentals down, and the rest will follow suit. And it's following suit at the moment. They see potential, but again, it's always getting those fundamentals down. That's like anything in life. I presume when you're in the army, it's the same thing, planning, 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 but that all comes from your fundamentals.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. So do you have I'd love to do like a call review or something for you today if you got it. Um,
If you want to do it that way, we can do the one with the link I send you.
oh yeah, that's right. I haven't had time to look at that. That's perfect. Let me go back in and grab that.
If you jump around 10 minutes in.
Oh, you did it with somebody else?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. Looks like Abdullah.
Yeah.
Nice, man. All right. So I'm gonna get you set up over here. Let me share my screen. Oops, forgot to share sound. 1 second. I always do that.
It's easy happen.
I know. I think it just automatically shares sound. I don't even know why they have that button. I'm sure there's a reason, but
Yeah.
In terms of wins, I suppose I'm not top performer in my
you said
job, so I'm
about
quite
10
positive on
minutes in.
that.
Yeah.
Was happy with.
Yeah. Around there.
Prospect. Mhm. Cool. Boss on.
Yeah.
Cool. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Ring ring.
There you
Who's
go.
this?
Hey, Abdul.
All right. So anything you want to pay particular attention to, or
And
anything you want specific coaching on?
not necessarily. I just want to see where, have I received improvements since the last time you heard me. It's all sort of kind of generic, basically, overview.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Say that one more time.
So I just want a generic overview.
Oh yeah, of course. First, that's
Abdul.
we can definitely do that.
Yeah, it is.
Abdul, it's Brian from Moose Method.
Cool, I got it.
Okay, ring ring.
Hey, who's this?
Hey, Abdul.
Yeah, it is.
Abdul, it's Brian from Moose Method. How are you?
Yeah, how's it going?
Abdul, I see that you bought our toolkit in the last couple of days. Does that ring a bell at all?
What was it again?
It was a toolkit you bought online. It was regarding your mobility issues. Does it ring a bell?
Got it. Yeah, it was a few days ago now. Yep.
How are you getting on with it so far, Abdul?
Honestly, I was very busy past few days. Haven't really finished it yet, but I went through it a couple of days ago. Finished the first module. It was good. It was great actually. Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. I'm just saying this is just an introductory call. See how you are, see how you're getting on with the toolkit, and see if we can help you out in any way possible.
Cool.
Abdul, can I just ask you a quick question? When you bought the toolkit, specifically around mobility and strength, what mobility issues are you having at the moment?
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like my hip has been lacks mobility at the moment. I'm currently working on that. I tried a few things, but didn't really work. So just was hoping to see what you guys have in that ebook.
So when you say about your hip, has this been created by something in an event, or was it just naturally come on all of a sudden?
Yeah. I'm a wrestler, by the way. I'm a D1 wrestler. So I kind of got fucked up in one of my my sparring sessions,
Hmm.
and ever since it was kind of it healed.
Hmm.
It essentially healed. It's not as worse as bad as it was, but
Hmm.
it's kind of it's kind of stiff. It's not as fluid as it was before, if that makes sense.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. And when you look through the two, have you been practicing any of these exercises to help with that?
And no, not really, honestly.
Just careful with ad libs, like cool between
Mm.
sentences. Hey, my hip's stiff and it really doesn't flex. It's not cool.
Right, so,
It should be like, I see. Okay.
so.
Um,
Do you mean careful with filler words?
exactly. Okay, got it. I see. That kind of stuff. You can say, if it actually is really cool or awesome, you're like, oh, cool. Okay. And then ask the next question. But yeah, just be conscious of filler words.
Cool, cool, cool. And so before this, how long's that been affecting you?
Yeah, I got injured about 2 months ago. I went through rehab, did all that.
So, like, how you're going to want to go through this call is, well, basically, we want to build a pain sandwich and then we want to feed it to them, right? So, what we want to do is we want to build layers to this pain sandwich. So, we want to be like, okay, so what's going on, man? My hip. Oh, what happened? Right. And like, you kind of went, it was kind of a long roundabout question to say what happened, but you really just need super short answers like, oh man, wrestler, like, what happened? And then they'll be like, oh, this, that, and that. Okay. Um, so, anything else besides your hip giving you problems? Okay, gotcha. Well, you know, how does that affect your day to day? Can you kind of walk me through? Okay, so I guess what, you know, has that kept you from, like doing anything, or has that prevented you from doing anything? Yeah, X, Y, and Z. Man, how long have you felt like that for? Right. And then, And then you like the pain sandwich, you can be like, well, man, so it's been going on for this many years. You heard it in wrestling. You said it's held you back from this. Like, I mean, if we can't get this fixed, what then?
Okay.
Right. So we want to like build the layers and then feed them that sandwich and that big question.
Uh-huh.
You know, like what then? Question like that. And that's but instead of going to like instead of creating that gap in like how long, we still want to
Yeah.
understand a little bit more of what's going on. Okay.
Okay.
So just dive a lit like one or two questions deeper into that pain. And
Okay.
then, how long has that been going on for?
Okay. And when you say that, you say shorten it up, does that mean it gives him more authority over who you're speaking to?
Yeah, brevity breeds authority for sure. Um, so so instead of because what happens if you like ask a really long question, it creates confusion, right?
Hmm.
And then if it's not just a few like easy understandable words, it's kind of get like lost in the sauce. It feels a little more salesy. Like you kind of build that sales resistance because if they feel uncomfortable or like don't know what you're asking, they're just gonna like try to put themselves back into a place of comfort, which is short answers. I want to get off the call. Okay.
Hmm.
So what you can do is be like, man, what happened? Dang, that's crazy. Like how, so does that affect your day to day? What specifically? Right?
Right.
When you say this, what do you mean? Uh, or you can even mirror. So like, if you say like Abdullah says, man, yeah, my hip hurts, and you go, your hip hurts? Yeah, man, and by the way, I wrestled. Oh, you wrestled? Yeah. Okay. And so you can just like mirroring is a good way to do it. And keep it brief. But does that make sense what I'm saying so far?
Absolutely. So you're kind of creating building rapport by mirroring his language.
Hmm. Yeah, mirroring his language. It definitely makes it feel like you're well, because you are actively listening, right? You have to
Yeah.
actively listen to ask those questions.
Mhm.
So, and active listening is like one of the most brain intensive activities you can do.
Of course.
Um, and so, but like so far, I just want to let you know, like this is leaps and bounds from last time we did the mock call. Like this is way, way better.
Good stuff for about a month, and afterwards, ever since as I told you, kind of been stiff. It doesn't hurt, but I'm not as flexible. If that makes sense.
So can I ask you, can you describe the stiffness? This is like, just
Yeah,
joint issues.
no, not really. The range of motion is shit, honestly. It's not. So, for example, I can fully extend my left hip outwards. I can't really do that with my right. That makes sense. That's been kind of hindering my performance so far.
Of course, of course, of course. So there's a hip hitch problem, and it's not as fluent as it used to be.
Mm.
And can I ask you, how's that affecting your overall life with your wrestling and your outside of wrestling?
Yeah, it's not really outside of my wrestling. It's not really affecting me in my day-to-day life, but it's just the performance aspect of things.
Of course, and that's going to affect you in terms.
Yeah, ad libs, right? Of course, of course.
Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. So just be like, you don't need to add that stuff and be like, okay, performance. What do you mean?
Yeah. I was thinking,
Performance.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
affecting your performance, right?
I will presume competitions, etc.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. And before this, I'll do.
And so that's another thing a lot of setters do is they'll just like assume how it's affecting them, right? But
Hmm.
that's, when we say, you can say statements like, man, it seems like this has really bothered you. Like how specifically, but we don't want to say, oh, okay, so it's this and this and this and this and this, because it may be like obvious in our head, because a lot of times salespeople will like, when you start to get good, you'll know exactly where the conversation is going for the most part. And
Hmm.
so what you tend to run into is be like, okay, so it's this, right? But that's the wrong way to approach it. Like we want to approach every conversation like we know nothing about this person. And like we just have to be super curious about every single thing. And so if something is affecting something else, we want to know why, and we never ever assume, because what's going to be more powerful, like them realizing it and telling you, or you kind of just like mentioning it?
Them realizing this and telling you.
100%. So, if you've ever read Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference, like getting them to a that's right is really, really important. So, not saying they have to say those words exactly, um, but you can put this in like your summary before you pitch the consult, right? So, so that's what I would say. So yeah, just don't assume, okay, so it's this, right? Just be like, okay, so how's that affected you specifically in this area? And let them tell you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Dude, have you tried any other products apart from this?
Apart from the ebook?
Yeah, apart from your toolkit, have you tried
Uh,
any other outside it?
no, I've just been watching some YouTube videos, but nothing significant.
Cool, cool, cool. So you're just watching some videos online just to see how that could
And see, you're doing a good job burning bridges. So what we're doing right now is like, okay, what have you tried before? Why hasn't it worked? Kind of thing.
potentially help you moving forward.
Yeah, yep.
Awesome, man, dude. Well, what does sound cool, cool, cool. So you're just watching some videos online just to see how that could potentially help you moving forward.
Yeah, yep.
Awesome, man, dude. Well, what it sounds like is that you have, an issue where your mobility is causing big problems. There's a hip itch issue going on, and you want to improve where you are.
So that's something we got to be careful too. Like, people get hyper focused on the words you're saying. So if he didn't say big problem, we don't want to say big problem. So we want to like use the words they've been saying. Because I don't think, because in their mind they'll catch on to, they'll be like, oh, okay, well I didn't say that, right? And
Yeah.
so then what they're going to be doing is they're going to be like listening for everything else you get wrong.
Nice.
So unless he said, man, it's a big problem, like this is crazy, it's affecting my hip whatsoever, like we don't want to say big problem or like make it more than it actually is, but we do want to use the things they've said to highlight the fact that they do need help. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So we just like, and this is all very nitty gritty stuff. Like this is not big stuff. Um, let's see. Okay.
Are at the moment to where you want to be. What's your ideal long-term goal with this toolkit?
Well, ultimately, if we can solve that problem, that'd be great. If I can even increase my hip mobility afterwards, after it gets solved, that'll be a bonus. But it's mainly just getting rid of that stiffness.
Of course, of course. Well, that sounds like you'd be an ideal person for.
Yeah. So I got that you want to get rid of the stiffness. Everybody does. But why specifically?
Mm.
Right. So he kind of gave you like a, why do you want to do this?
Prompts.
He gave you
Yeah.
what's wrong. He didn't give you why he wanted to do this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So we want to get rid of the stiffness, but that doesn't really answer my question. I'm asking like, why? Why get rid of the stiffness in the first place? Okay. And you've tried, like, it sounds like you've just kind of been looking at a bunch of stuff. I guess what stood out about what we do that y- you know what stood out about what we did that made you want to book the call? Or that yeah, what do you felt like was different about what we do? Because then they're basically selling themselves on what you guys do specifically. Okay, so and you can ask it a different way. Be like, okay, so it sounds like you've looked at quite a few things. I mean, why us specifically? Oh, well, because I saw you do this, this, and this. Okay, have you ever tried anything like this before? No. Okay. So what do you like? What do you feel like you need specifically um, to help you reach X goal? Okay. Okay. Got it. So if we could help you find a way to do this, do you feel like that would be helpful? Yeah. Okay. So do you mind if I share a few thoughts? Boom, and then you'll go into the pitch, right? But let's keep going. Like you're not like this isn't bad so far. We're just getting like into the super fine details.
Are actually our coaching for facilities. The coach is named Alex, and what he does is a more one-to-one specialized coaching.
Hmm.
And essentially what he does is he breaks down the plan. He puts in more steps available than what the toolkit is. Is that something you would be interested?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but
All right, so just to kind of keep it super simple here,
Yeah,
like, okay, Abdullah, so it sounds like we may be able to potentially help you. Are you open to a few thoughts? Okay. So the toolkit, although it serves its purpose as being kind of like a, a generalized platform to help with a few things, what you need specifically to help heal your hip is a very specific plan for your body and your, because everybody's different. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So what I recommend from here is getting in touch with our specialist Alex. He's going to walk you through a step-by-step plan, right? If he feels like we can help you out to get you to the point of goal, right? Um, and so it's important that, you're just like super open with them about what's going on and everything like that. That way you can properly diagnose the situation and, help you put together a plan that's going to get you there. Um, I mean, do you feel like that would be helpful for you? Oh yeah, man, that'd be great. Okay. So, um, what are you doing later today? What do you got going on today? What are you doing tomorrow? Right. So just a very like a super, and that's like that line you say,
yeah,
okay, so here's what I'd recommend. I want to get you with our specialist who's going to do this, this, and this. Like very specific things so I know what's going to go on in the next call. Because if they don't have any direction in the next call or they don't know what's going on, they're going to lose interest. Okay.
absolutely.
But they need to know how it's going to benefit them. Okay, cool. So you're going to hop on and do an individualized plan for your specific needs to help you get from, achy hip to wrestling and, jumping in the ring at WWE, right? Whatever it is.
I need to I know a little bit more about what you guys offer.
Of course, of course. So when you go through the call, it's a free consultation call. There's no charges applied.
Yeah, no, you don't need to say that.
Mm-mm.
Essentially,
No,
when you get on the call, you'll be speaking to a guy.
Yeah. Abdullah, that's an awesome question. I'm glad you asked because that's exactly why I'm recommending this call with Alex because he's going to walk through that with you. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Because everybody that comes to us needs something different, right? Yeah. Okay.
He run through everything with you within the half an hour.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Awesome, awesome. Can I just confirm, Abdul, what's your time zone?
EST.
EST. And are you available at all this evening?
Today won't work. Can we do tomorrow?
Tomorrow is morning or afternoon good?
Afternoon.
Afternoon. Is 2 p.m. okay?
So you're like, yeah, potentially. What do you got going on tomorrow? Okay. So you're coming home at this time. How long does it take you to get home? All this. Do you have anything else going around, kids or anything like that? No? Okay. So you'll be able like if we got you in at X time, would that give you enough, would you be able to be in a quiet spot and, able to go through this movement assessment with, with your specialist? Yeah, I would. Okay. Anything you feel like would cause you to run late to that? Or you pretty solid on that time? Okay, cool. So, so what I'm gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and book you for that 2 o'clock, right? And I'm going to send you some reminders. So what I need you to do is, I know a million and one things can come up between now and your call. I need you to confirm that reminder to make sure that you're still going to be able to make it tomorrow when I send that out. Is that something you can do? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So, Abdullah, great to meet you. I'm really looking forward to your call. I'm really looking forward to you getting a lot out of this call with Alex. And text me back once you're done. I'd love to hear how it went. Cool.
no.
Bye. but let's keep watching.
Can you do 3?
Um, the scheduling is quite tight just because of what we're offering at the moment.
Yeah,
I
sure, sure. We could do 2. We could do 2.
Awesome, awesome. Can I just confirm your email? Can you confirm your email to me, please?
Yeah, it's Abdullah@gmail.com.
Awesome, I'll do that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to send you over an email. It's a 10-minute introduction video to what's going on. Can you please watch that before going jumping on the call? It just makes life easier for you.
Yeah, 100%. We'll do so.
Okay, I'm going to send that over to you now. Can you just confirm you received that email?
Yeah, I saw here.
Awesome, Abdul. So
Awesome.
what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to book you. It's all booked in, and Coach Kyle will see you tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Yeah, awesome. Just have one question, Brian. When
Sure.
you mentioned the coaching program,
Yes.
how much does that cost just to get ready for the call?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's a fair question. It's a very customizable plan, Abdullah. So it's not something I can facilitate over the phone purely because of each person has each individual plan that's unique to them.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
Awesome, Abdullah. Is there any other questions?
No, no.
Awesome. Have a great day.
Don't fall into the trap. So one thing you never want to ask as a setter is any other questions. Never ask that because you're always going to get how much does it cost every single time.
Yes.
Never ask any other questions. So he's yeah, because they'll be like, oh yeah, how much does it cost, right? You're putting yourself into a trap. But is that the end of it?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, that was leaps and bounds better than where we were at. So I see you getting the pain, like digging into that. I see you asking the how long has that been going on for questions, so creating that gap. And then what I like, like I said, we can feed them that pain sandwich. Man, so and this is something I used to teach all the time. It's like, okay, so you said you've been struggling with this for this many years, you've tried this, and it's affecting your day to day like this. Like, can I just kind of ask you a personal question? Man, so like what happens if it's, the next 3 years is the same? Oh man, that's gonna suck. Okay, gotcha. So, I got Dan coming in. So, I guess if this has been going on for this long, what's got you ready to do something about it now specifically? Something else happened, right? Get that timeline. Anyway, so it's just like you did a great job, Dan. Welcome. We just did a call review with Brian here. And so, and we were talking about pain sandwiches. So basically building the pain sandwich of like, once you dig into the pain, you dig several layers deep. Okay, it's been going on for this long. It's affected you like this and this and this. We're like, so, and you kind of recap that pain. It's just like, man, so it's been going on for this long. It's affected you in these ways. Shoot, do you mind if I ask you kind of like a personal question here? Like, what if the next 3 years is the same? Oh man, that's gonna suck. Yeah, right. Okay. So I guess what changed specifically now that makes you ready to want to do something about it? Well, because this specific thing. Oh man. Okay. I gotcha. So, you know, what I guess, fixing this, what's the ultimate goal here, right? And so just making that transition really, really nice. So here's what I did. So a long years ago, I had my son draw me a couple of pictures, right? And this was my note-taking sheet. I had him
Wow.
draw an island that had like people were sad and they weren't happy. They're like
Yeah.
sad clouds and people. And on the other side is happy clouds and happy people and
Wow.
trees.
That's awesome.
And then here's the bridge, right? Here's the gap. So I gave myself a physical representation of what I wanted to walk everybody through. So you dig into pains, you write it here, and then you write, what's keeping them and preventing them from getting to where they want to be, right?
That's
So
awesome.
this is a great representation. I made over $100,000 taking notes on this sheet.
Wow.
Yeah, my son's drawing. So Um,
That's
so
cool.
that's yeah, it's literally like pain, gap, goals, right? Um,
Thank you.
but Brian, I mean, do you feel like what we went through was helpful?
Honestly, that's been extremely helpful. I appreciate that. That's given me
Yeah.
confidence moving forward.
Yeah, man. I think like you're so I will tell you right now, you're definitely making progress, which is really, really good. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, so keep up the work. And then I would say, like, if I were to summarize this in a few action items, I would say brevity in questions, right?
Mhm.
Dig a little bit deeper into pain. And we
Mhm.
want to focus on call flow as far as like pain, gap, goals. Okay. Because if we jump around in the
Yeah.
emotionality of it too much, especially if it, in an offer like Moves Method, where they're like helping joint pain and stuff like that,
Yeah.
um, then it's going to be like your your prospect's going to lose focus, right?
Okay. Cool. 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 Awesome. Awesome.
Oh yeah, and ad libs.
Awesome.
Cool,
There you
cool,
go.
cool, cool.
I need to stop doing that. I
It's
need,
okay. It's
honestly.
okay, man. Like if you want to stop doing it, write yourself a sticky note and put it right next to your camera.
That's it.
Just write like cool, cool, cool on it or something. Dan, you got any questions or what's
I
going
have
on?
one actually related to what you're saying. Thank you for that setup and framework. Sometimes I get people who, when I talk about consequence or what if this continues, they'll say like, "Oh, well, I'm not going to let that happen." So that's a tough one. I feel like I've tried things like, I feel like I might have seen the line like somewhere in the course is like, "Well, you've let it happen this far, so like, what's preventing it from continuing?" But do you have a way of kind of dealing with I'm not going to let it happen when they talk about consequence.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
good. That's not going to happen.
yeah.
Um, yeah. Awesome, man. What's the plan? Sweet. What's your plan to get out of that? Or, it's,
Right, right,
just be
right.
like, okay, cool. So what specifically are you gonna do to prevent that from happening again?
And if
Yeah.
they were to say, well, I don't know, I'll figure it out though.
Okay, gotcha. Dan, can I just be like super straightforward with you?
Yep.
Dude, this has been happening for 3 years. If you knew how to solve this problem, you would have done it by now. So what's really going on, man? You can drop
Well,
like to afford that kind of authority on a call, your intro has to be really good. But like you can that's a more serious one. You can, the other approach, I can be like, okay, right on. So yeah, and I would just go into like, okay, so what like how are you gonna prevent yourself from doing it again? Like, so it's happened this many times, or it's, I guess, is there a specific context you had and like or offer?
yeah. So I'm on a business to business coaching for contractors and tradespeople. So a lot of the
Oh,
times, um, what's that reaction?
I'm doing HVAC right now, so I get
Oh,
it.
specifically, yeah.
Yeah.
So ego is a lot of the times involved, or shame, because a lot of, I mean, I don't know if it's the same, but yeah, blue collar background, don't have a business training, so they either want to hide or pump up their numbers. And I think there's a lot of like, yeah, shame in admitting that they don't know what they're doing, and it's been like 3 years and they don't know their numbers at all or where the money's leaking, and they don't know how to solve it. And they're like, oh, I'm gonna figure it out, kind of attitude.
Yeah. Okay, so the very direct approach I talked about is going to be your golden nugget.
Mhm.
Gotcha, man. Dan, can I just be like super straightforward with you right now? Of course, man.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Like when you originally created this business, like what was the end goal here?
Well, yeah, I wanted to be, have be my own boss, have some like, provide for my family,
Okay.
take care of my own schedule.
Gotcha. So, and I say this because I've helped a lot of people in business, right? But if you had a solution to what's going on right now, you would have solved it. You would have solved it already. So like what's really going on? behind your business, because I can't help you if you're not struggling, man. So like, what's actually going on that's preventing you guys from getting to where you want to be? You can do
Yeah.
something like that. So you just gotta like level with them and like, look, dude, things suck. You're here for a reason. You know, let's get on with it.
Hmm.
So that like being direct with those guys and like sitting them down so you're in a place of authority is going to go a long ways.
And I find like it's a little bit nuanced because a lot of the times they will admit like things are messed up now. I don't know what I'm doing, but it's a little bit of like sometimes they have the attitude of I'm going to figure it out one way or another, like whether it's on my own or with help. So that's what a little I think is kind of coming up when it gets to
Yeah.
the like, what if this continues? And
Yeah. So
yeah,
if that's the case, if they're a real go-getter, like, gotcha, man. Have you, so Dan, like right now, have you built everything up to this point on your own?
yep.
Okay, gotcha. Like, so I guess what allowed you to get like what did you do well that allowed you to get this far?
Yeah, just like put my head down, worked hard, like kept things moving, did everything I could to get things off the ground, in that startup phase.
Okay, gotcha. So Dan, like, you were in the startup phase for a few years, and then now that we're, wanting to scale and grow the business, do you think do you think doing the same thing is gonna, scale the business, or do you feel like, something needs to change?
Yeah, something needs to change.
Okay, why though?
Well, I just been in this situation for the past year, and it just seems like the more and more I work, the jobs aren't the issue, but it just they come in, money comes in one way, and doesn't seem like there's much left at the end of the day. So something's not right.
Okay. So what do you feel when you say something's not right? Like what do you feel is going on that's, stopping you from growing in that specifically? Right? And then you just keep digging into
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I know it's hard to role play because there's like nothing behind it, no context and stuff, and you just kind of like make some stuff up. But um that's 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 kind of roundabouts. And so advanced here, like right now their belief is I've done it this way, I've gotten this far, I can do it.
Right,
Right?
right.
The belief needs to be that the way I've done it so far is not the way I can continue doing
Yes,
business.
yes.
So what we have to do is we have to frame it. We have to we have to frame their belief and we have to change it into okay, the things I've been doing so far have gotten me here, but in order to get my business into the next stage, I have to do something different.
Yep.
So it's that belief you're running into that we need to change. And this is
Hmm.
like super advanced, but there are ways that you can kind of like dig in and do that. And like what I was talking about specifically for B2B, right then is a good way. So yeah, what's allowed you to get this far in business? Okay. So do you feel like to take your business to, 3 to 4 million, 3 to 5 million from where it's at now, like, do you feel like you can do the same thing or do you feel like, something different has to happen? Okay, well, some things need to change. Okay. So where do you feel like, what do you feel like would make the biggest changes in your business right now? And then going from there. Does that help?
Yeah, totally. Because I think that gets into their psychology of like, well, I've started this from nothing and I have something, so obviously I'm doing something right. But it, at least where we come in is like helping them get out of the field and out of like the technical side and really being the business owner and not just the brute force, which got them to
Yeah.
that level. Yeah.
Yeah. And then if they're just like super stubborn and dumb, you know, and you can just be like, hey, Dan, like, I definitely want to help you out, but can I just be real for you for a second? Like, you've built the business for 3 years. What you want to do, there's going to have to be some changes. Like, you're going to have to change the way you're doing business to get to this level. Does that make sense? Okay. So, and if you already found that, like, you would have done it by now, right? But we're here. So, what's the problem? So, you just kind of got to like be super, super candid with them. Um, and kind of, if I get being proud, building the baby, and they've gotten this far, and they want to be on the call, and they don't want to look like an idiot, and they don't want to look
Yep.
stupid. But you just have to like get past that.
Yep.
Sometimes you just got it's the I don't know. Some people call it a truth hammer. You just be like, bam, okay. Hey man, can we just pause for a second? Like, I'm trying to figure out what's going on so we can help you out, but you're giving me like pretty shallow answers. So, like, can you just tell me what's really going on? Like, you're not giving me any details. Like, hey, if you want to just, you know, and you get like you can kind of you probably wouldn't want to go this harsh this quick, but just be like, look, man, you can either tell me what's going on or we can just hop off because unless we get into like what's going on in your business, like I don't know how I can help you. I don't even know if I can help you. Okay. Like, do you still want to get to this goal? Yeah. Then what do you need? Right. And if they don't look, if you're spinning your wheels and they don't know the problem, like going down that rabbit hole is not going to be a good idea. Okay. So um there's going to be several very distinguishing things that determine, are you familiar with pain first and goals first?
Yeah, based on how the opening goes.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's going to be there's going to be a few distinguishing factors. So what do you know, like you're going to do your intro and then you're going to ask your first question. It's pretty much going to be the same first question every single time, right? You know, so what are you trying to solve here? What do you feel like the problem is? Well, I don't know. So if they've started a new business, if they are problem unaware after two or three questions, then you're going to want to go goals first, right?
Hmm.
Because trying to dig pain out of somebody who doesn't know where, like their entire body hurts and they don't know where to start, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So, but if they're like, yeah, my finger hurts right here because of this reason, because I fell on it the other day, okay, I can start diagnosing and figuring that out.
Hmm.
So if they're new and if they're problem unaware after like two to three questions, then I would go goals first. So if you're like, so I'm like, so let's role play somebody who's new here real quick. Um, so um, so Dan, what do you feel like is the biggest challenge right now for growing and scaling your business?
I'm sorry, am I being someone who is goals first?
Yeah, we'll
So
just
I
role
don't
play
know.
here real quick.
Yeah, I don't really know what the challenges are. Just everything's kind of new and not really sure.
Okay, how long have you been in business?
About a year.
About a year. Okay, gotcha. Um, so So Dan, like what's probably going to make the most sense is let's start with the goal in mind here, the end in
Okay.
mind, and then we can kind of reverse engineer and figure out what's going on. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So and before we get into that, you know, most of the guys I talk to have been in business for, 10 plus years and they're ready to scale and grow. Like what makes you want to skip all of that and just like start growing now, 12 months in?
Yeah, I guess I'm just realizing like some of my numbers don't make sense, like with our labor costs, labor utilization. I'm not really sure like how my jobs are doing. So yeah, if there's a way to kind of like shortcut or learn from someone else who's done this before rather than like reinventing the wheel, like I think why not?
Okay, gotcha. So, yeah, so I guess let's start with the next 12 months. Like, what is your guys' goal in the next 12 months?
Yeah, I'd say, we're just coming up on like 800,000 a year for revenue. If I could hit like the 1 million, 1.5 mark in the next year, that'd be solid.
Okay, so we're looking to grow by 20-30%.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So to hit the 1 million mark in the next year, we'd have to do X number each month. So right now, how much are you making per month? Like, and then you just break it down, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And so, um,
yeah.
and then you go, okay, cool. So we're right here right now. This is where you want to go. Help me work through like, and then just go like, break it down. And this, you do a lot of this on closing as well, but so I guess for this specific thing per month, like what do you feel like is keeping you from getting jobs or what thing is preventing you from like scaling the business in this specific part of it, right? Like, okay, so if we want to get to a million, we need to make an extra 20K per month, 30K per month, 50K per month, whatever, 100K per month. But um, um, yeah, what aspect do you think or what part do you feel like you guys need to work on to get there? Okay, and if it's still like, man, I don't know, dude.
Right, right, right.
Okay, gotcha. So Dan, I guess when you say you don't know, what areas do you feel like you're struggling with most? Like what areas don't you know? Like is it payroll? Is it like, you know, costs? You mentioned this. Like where do you feel like you guys are struggling most?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
cool.
it. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
And then just, just dive into it.
Yeah, yeah. Cool.
Okay. And then you could just be like, well, hey, Dan, I mean, I get just being 12 months into the business, but we like, we don't know our numbers. We're not up to speed here. So we got to help you get the basics down because without being able to track your numbers and identifying problems in your business, you guys aren't going to get very far. Do you agree?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. So what I want to do is, and that's not a problem, but now we know where you're at, which is completely fine. So what I want to do is get you in with one of our experts who's really going to dive deeper into everything and help you put together a plan. That way we can help you out, right? Everything like that. So, um, does that make sense?
Cool.
Yeah. What other questions you guys got?
Mm, Nothing's coming to mind for me.
I suppose it's a bit of a generic one, Michael. Um, Getting your first role, how would you set yourself up to get my first role, the position I'm in at the moment, and from your experience, how would you make me prepare myself first, I suppose?
You got to get confidence. The way you
Mm-hmm.
get confidence is you do a butt ton of mock calls.
Mm-hmm.
Just do a ton of mock calls, engage with the community, engage with the coaches, just like we're doing today.
Mm-hmm.
Bring your calls, be the guy who's getting better. And then, not saying you have to do this many, but before I landed my first role, my first role was a closer. I had done over like 60 hour long mock calls before I even got the job.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many mock calls I got reviewed, but it was a lot. Um, and then I think setter calls I did like over 120, 130 or something like that. But they're like 15 minutes each, so it wasn't too bad. I would just say more mock calls is going to build confidence, and then we can go in that interview with confidence and be like, "Yeah, I got this." Like, I don't care what's going to get thrown at me. I don't care what kind of offer I'm on. I'm going to go on and I'm going to kill it because I know the basics of what to do. Um, then that confidence is going to bleed through on your interview, and you're going to get the job. So that's number one. Like, build the confidence you need to go on there, and then talk to coaches about how to interview and stuff like that. So those are the two things. Just build confidence through mock calls and getting your calls reviewed. And then that way you can take these principles and apply them to any offer. And that confidence that you display on uh, an interview is going to be huge. That's
Do you
like
think
me.
it's the main thing?
Yeah, I think it's the main thing. Like, because when I'm interviewing people for a position, if if they don't have confidence in themselves, like it's they just seem newer, right? And do I want to take on someone who's newer? Do I want to like, show them the ropes and everything like that? But if they have confidence and like an eagerness to learn, I can teach that person all day long, right? Um, so it's just you just got to come in having confidence that like how to be a setter,
Mhm.
and then that way you can crush it.
Thanks. That's good advice. Thanks.
Yeah. Um, and then like specific questions to ask and like interview etiquette, I would say maybe not the right word, but how to be effective on an interview, like that's all good stuff to know too. And so like the more we get out of this gray unknown space and into like a space where we know it and can control it, right? Like what does my day look like? How do I make a dial? How do I do an actual setter call? Like pain, goals, gap, all that stuff. If I got all that stuff out of the way, the only thing I have to worry about is learning about the offer and doing the job. Yeah. But we'll help you with all the interview stuff and that as well. So if you like get an offer or once you do your live mock call on Friday,
Mhm.
then we can start doing like interview prep stuff for you.
Cool, cool. Do you think it would be a good advice to show up tomorrow, or do you think I should have another couple more in?
You have to make that choice.
Of course, I thought you were going to say that. I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. Thanks.
Just when you're ready, just message me and we'll get you on for a Friday, whether that's tomorrow, next week, whatever you want, man.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah. I say like based on what I saw today, um, yeah, if you can, if you can get a few mock calls and work on those, you might be ready for tomorrow.
Thanks.
Shoot, mock with Dan. But guys, I know it's not unconventional, but Brian and I just hopped straight into a call review. But what's going well for you guys out there? Dan, since you joined late, we'll start with you.
Um, like what, like recent wins?
Yeah, life,
Oh,
job,
life.
whatever.
Man, life. I have friends from my hometown on the west coast of Canada. I had friends from my hometown visit. It was a Canadian long weekend here.
Oh, nice.
So that was sweet. Just had a set close before I came on, possibly another one closing as we speak.
Right on.
What else is going on? I'm an actor as well. I'm in so I have a workshop over Zoom, like a casting director workshop coming up, and
Okay.
it's sunny out. So
Dude, that's a lot of good
yeah,
stuff. You said you do acting, so do you have
yeah,
your own business?
like an acting. Like, how do you
Like,
mean?
are you teaching people or what do you mean?
Like as an actor?
Oh, okay. So you have a casting call coming up.
Got it, got it. So no, sorry, I'm attending like the workshop as an attendee. So sometimes casting
Ah,
directors do like um workshops. So it's like a way of getting in front of casting directors called like a showcase. So they give
got you.
you it's like a mock sales call, but for acting. So they give you a little scene. You do a day of coaching with like an acting coach, and then you do it in front of a casting director. So it's like a way of getting kind of seen and some feedback of like what a casting director is looking for. So it's like it's a one-off workshop. So I don't teach acting, but I'm attending the workshop. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So well, good luck, man.
Yeah,
I wish you
thanks.
the best. What's the big dream
Um, for acting or just in general?
for
That's a good
acting?
question. Um, yeah, so I mean, I got into this. I moved here and like switched careers recently to pursue acting and have like a flexible day job that works. So that's how I kind of got into the sales. So,
Gotcha.
um, big dream is moving into closing, possibly starting up my own thing as well. I just got my first income property a couple months ago as well. So building up my career and wealth and booking some bigger roles and yeah.
Nice, dude. Well, if
Yeah.
you ever want to go from setting to closing, let me know.
Hmm.
There's a few things that you want to be aware of and just kind of like mental shifts.
Yeah.
But right on, dude. Well, hey,
Yeah.
I wish you the best. Let us know. DM me. Let me know how the call
Sure.
goes.
And I've spoken with some of the coaches about this. It's funny because my priority at the time was like getting into setting for, I don't know, I perceived it as being like more stable or like a way to get my feet wet. And because I've been at this role now for like over a year and a half, it's like closing has become this big, scary thing. I forget who I was talking to, maybe Jared and Matt, just about watching some of the calls. And I watched like one yesterday, start to finish, like 1x speed. And I was like, oh, this is like so not that far. Like it's not that far of a stretch. So I think just actually like having the exposure to it is um has really like demystified it. But yeah.
Closing, closing is a long setter call with objections.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
That's
Yeah.
all it is. Um, the part where you're really going to shine, and we can work on this later on, but if you want to get into closing, people are going to want to wiggle out and they're not going to want to pay, all
Mhm.
this stuff. So you have to figure out like how to handle objections
Mhm.
um, that you don't cover in discovery. Because every objection you
Mhm.
get is something you didn't talk about in the discovery.
Yes.
So, but yeah, let me know if you want to pursue that further. We
Cool.
can talk about getting together and helping you with that. But
Cool.
Brian, what about you, man? Send us off with a win.
Yeah. Well, with work at the moment, my own job in IT, I had an interview for a more of a automation role, and they're interested in me at the moment. So that's been a little bit of a win, and even my own role at the moment, my manager wants me to become a manager eventually. That's the feeling around it, but my ultimate goal in terms of work is to get into appointment setting. That's my goal.
Gotcha. So the job you're getting into now is not appointment setting?
So the job I'm in at the moment is in IT,
IT, okay.
and they want me to go up the ladder, but I don't want to stay in the corporate world for the rest of my life. It doesn't give me the freedom I want.
Right on, dude. I was gonna ask, like, dude, having a 9 to 5, a cushy job, like that's easy, dude.
Absolutely, but it's not going to give you what you want, you know?
Right on.
Hard things pay off eventually. Hard work pays off, and my own dad had a business, so I see it from a family point of view as well.
Yeah, and dude, if you want to go into business someday, like learning how to sell is gonna be
Mhm.
huge. Cool.
Absolutely, it's crucial. So I'm trying to upskill myself too. I'm trying to learn a different skill. You know, I have the technical ability. There's no doubt. And from a technical point of view, I'm quite good. But I know having both and be good in selling and good technically, that will create a hybrid, which is quite unique.
You're gonna be a unicorn, dude.
Absolutely, that's the game in the game. Or
Yeah.
a leprechaun.
Or a leprechaun. There you go. I like that. Brian the
Yeah.
Leprechaun Comer.
There you go. There you go. That for Halloween, that's what I dress up with all the time, a leprechaun.
Nice, man. Well, guys, I gotta run, but did you hear about the we're gonna be posting about an offsite here. Um, let's see, Dan, you're in Canada. Comer, where are you at?
UK.
Okay, gotcha. Well, hey, I think the 25th and the 26th in Colorado Springs, there's going to be
Oh,
a
cool.
setter closer offsite. So if you guys want to come meet us in person, shake my hand, whatever, block it off in your calendars. But we're going to be putting out specific info with tickets and everything like that here pretty soon.
Awesome.
But
That
yeah,
next week.
no, July,
Oh, I was thinking.
July. So a couple months.
Tight
Yeah,
turnaround.
yeah. Get a flight
Fourth of
now. Let's
July.
go.
Yeah.
But guys, it's been a pleasure. Comer, you have come a long ways. Great review. Keep doing
Yeah.
those mocks. Focus on what we talked about,
Yeah.
brevity and questioning, and diving a little bit deeper into the pain and then just overall call flow.
Yeah.
You're we're gonna get you into a job. You're gonna be really good.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
All right, guys. You take care. I'll see y'all Friday.
Good
Bye
chat, guys.
bye.
See ya.
Later.